Hello, I'm Maureen Curry, and I'm here to present to you the danger of a single story. I come from a family of WAPs, Italian-American immigrants. My grandfather and many like him left their homeland in the hope of finding jobs in America. They arrived without papers, and hence the term WAPs, which became a very derogatory term, a discriminatory term for Italian Americans. They were unskilled laborers. They came to this country. They were hard-working people. My grandfather was a stonemason. He built walls and other masonry structures in around our home in New Jersey. These Italians wanted to assimilate when they came to America. They wanted to become Americans, take up the American dream, but it wasn't easy. Told we were Italians, and eventually we became known as Italian Americans. So my single story involved being Italian American. We kept up our Italian traditions. We maintained our culture, a strong culture of family, sharing food and being together. So family, food, and togetherness was our philosophy. There was much emphasis put on work. Education was limited. Many people barely had high school educations. My uncles went and worked in the factories. There were manual laborers, machinists. My mom worked in a sewing factory. So these are the kinds of unskilled labor, hand skills that they learned that they were able to find work. And so education was limited. In particular, girls were told to go to work. If they went to high school, after high school, you go to work or you got married. So the single story that I knew, my mother got divorced and she had two small girls and she went home to live with her parents. So I grew up in a household with an Italian grandfather and grandmother who spoke of Italian. They kept Italian language at home and in the neighborhood. The other neighbors were also Italian. Some waited to become naturalized citizens. Some never did. According to MOA, storytelling is a unique strategy for socializing members in your own organization or culture and encouraging people to abide by those cultural norms and values. That's what we knew. Being Italian American is what we knew. Most Italians could only afford to live in poor neighborhoods. We were poor. Our town was segregated into ethnic enclaves. There were the WASPs, the Polish sections, the Italian section was in the east end of town, the Jewish section, and poor blacks, now known as African Americans. Every group encountered prejudice and negative stereotypes. I heard a lot of ethnic prejudiced words sometimes at home, affecting all the different groups, the different ethnic groups that lived in our community. So we knew of ourselves as Italians. As far as my story goes, I lived in a poor Italian neighborhood. I went to school and walked home with other poor children. My mother had to work. She was divorced. I had to be under the care of my grandparents. And of course, my mother took us to school in the morning, but then she couldn't pick us up because she was at work. And she always cautioned us to walk directly home after school and not to talk to the colored folks sitting on their front porches on the way home. So the danger of a single story creates stereotypes. A single story limits our beliefs. Italians knew discrimination from their ethnic background, yet they fell prey to stereotyping African Americans. They thought of them as on welfare, being lazy, drunk, and prone to criminal behavior. According to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, show a people as one thing over and over, and that is what they become. Chimamanda Ngozi cautions, invent a story about an ethnic group and it becomes ingrained and misunderstandings result. So the danger of a single story, there is danger of one-sided, negative and incomplete views, incomplete stories, and as a result, fear, misunderstanding, racial stereotyping limit the ability to become unified and become a cohesive society where all are working together. So there is much danger in a single story. We must keep our minds and hearts open to multiple perspectives.